Nice.
Okay, we're live, and then I'll show you what we and other people see this. It doesn't matter, but um, here's what I came up with.
Yeah,
All
I saw
right,
that. That's great.
did you? Okay, there's all kinds of things, John. We can do, and then afterwards, let me see. I got some other my intro. All right, so you got that. I made that on Canva. And let me see here. So I come back to that. It's pretty cool what it can do. I downgraded a little bit. I didn't need to have 6 channels. I'm doing Facebook too, and then I do one to YouTube and so forth. So um, it works out very well. I don't know if you do any live stream. I know you're on the live
Yeah.
stream podcast thing with other people, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now the only other thing, I wear these so you don't get any feedback, but I'm not getting any feedback now, so it's going good. So for everybody, I don't get a lot of live stuff on at this time of the day. It's a little crazy. People are working and so forth, but I can take this, send it to you. You can post it wherever you want to post it. I can also download just the audio. You can put it on a podcast, or put it wherever you want it. But like I said, if yeah, like say for yourself and everything, you want to keep going with this, I can put you on where you have the same um, situation where I'm in, where I can do different things and you can do the same thing. So if you said, "Hey, I got a little slideshow on nutrition," you can put it on there. Everybody can see it, or at least I can. There's nobody on right now. But some people say, it's 7 o'clock at night is a good time for reels, and I get more views on reels. Do you do reels?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Do
Do
you do
do
you do
reels.
you do you notice that you get more than just doing a video post? I don't know. Maybe.
I always think it's going to be the first 3 seconds, regardless of what it is, even in a Facebook Live. Like if you can grab the audience attention, that seems to work best. Reels or just videos in general. Like some videos do better than others, obviously. Sometimes it
Right.
could be sometimes it's very weird. It's not that I have a large following. It's just that I noticed that some things can get 10,000 hits. You wouldn't expect to get 10,000 hits. Other things you
Right.
get 20,000 hits, and you're like, you don't know why. Honestly, it's just could be the timing. It could be the way it catches the audience's attention just by a specific shot
Well,
of the video.
I can get a couple thousand on TikTok. But my wife, when I filmed her, I had her there in front, and she had like a sweater, and I said, it was a little not bad. I said, okay, take your shirt off. She goes, no. And I said, oh, come on, take your shirt off. No. And what we were doing is advertising a shirt. Nobody could see it, our shirt for running. She goes, all right. So she lifts the shirt up, and it has our logo and everything.
Mm.
She got like 40,000 hits on that thing after a couple months. I mean, it was unbelievable. But anyway, I'm going to go back. I'm getting in the weeds. Uh, so John Arena, I knew somebody named Arena. Is Arena Italian?
Yes.
Well, there
Yes.
you go. The guy that I worked with when I was Wendy's, his name was Arena out in Columbus, Ohio. You got any relatives out there?
Not that I'm aware of, but I lived in Brooklyn, New York, and around the corner from me was another John Arena, no relation. And around the corner from him, a block away from me, was a Robert Arena, also no relation. So it's just, I guess it's a
Yeah.
pretty common name.
Well, my name Levan, it's a French. I really shouldn't have that name. I'm half on my mother's side. It's all Italian. My father's Scotch Irish and everything, but his grandmother married Levan. The first husband died. She should have kept the original name, which was Scottish. But um, I from Philadelphia, and I was I know I'm older than you, but I was working at Acme Market. Have you ever
Mhm.
heard of Acme? Okay,
I
so
did a
I
stint
was.
there. I did a stint there.
Did you really? Oh wow! So I was working at the warehouse at Gerard Avenue. It's not there anymore, but I used to go to Cousins. That's where Angelo Bruno. I when I taught school, Angelo Bruno, he was shot in the face through the his windshield. He's like that, and so I didn't know them, but I knew people that knew them. I was
Mhm.
like in my 20s and so forth. But anyway, but I want to tell everybody else. I think we got to start emailing or texting was from the website, the podcast. I have so many, I forget podcast this, podcast that. And so I sent you, a text about getting together and doing this. This is the first time, so forth. And now I've sent a few to um, women, and they kind of like a little squirrely. I'm an older guy, but I'm glad this is working out for us. And your background and what I thought was intriguing was you uh, have a background in nutrition and training, and the kettlebell thing was also interesting on that. And um, the nutrition part, I was talking to you before on the races that I have. There's a lot of, I'll say, women and men that don't understand electrolytes, they don't understand nutrition, they don't understand how to train. And most of the people that I have on the running sites are 40 to 55. So that would be, in your area of expertise. So if you want to, let me know what your, this is kind of like a testing here on nutrition and so forth. You pick one and you go on what you notice on your training and so forth from the people that you have that you consult with or that you train. So the floor, not the floor, but the video's yours, John.
Well, thank you. Yeah, so just a little bit of background for the audience. I come to you guys by way of always being interested or being a fitness enthusiast. I did weight training as early as 12, and a lot of us can probably remember the vinyl weights with the sand that you would put in it and that kind of stuff. And I also dove into martial arts, so I have a background in martial arts. And actually, for about 20 years, I owned and operated a martial arts studio. Um, I did the transition or slowly started to do a transition into the more of the physical fitness. I even changed the way we did our programming for martial arts based on strength protocols. And strength is really foundational for many, many things. So I will dive into that a little bit more. But then I started changing my approach to go more into the nutrition and more into the strength training. And then COVID came and I got basically a little tired of doing the martial arts and really decided to dive into nutrition. And my wheelhouse and my specialty is kettlebell training because even with all of the mobility and martial arts training that I had done for decades, I routinely had 3 to 4 times a year significant back problems, the kind of back problems where it was hard to get out of bed and it'd take me 10 minutes to be, functioning. And I would go through that for a good 2 weeks, about 3 to 4 times a year. When I started doing kettlebell training, I noticed that just basically went away. Now, I'm not saying I'm injury uh, uh, protected, but I certainly get far less injuries than I've ever have gotten. And now I'm 55, and I used to have injuries in my 30s and in my 40s. So I love kettlebell training, but I don't necessarily say that's for everybody. You got to find something that you love, like running, and then you've got to do that. And so I'm an advocate for anything physical, anything physical, any physical fitness avenue. If you told me you just love to walk, I would tell you to walk because you can be, if you watch what you eat and you walk every day, you can live a very healthy and long life. And that's really the key of all of this. And running is a really cool sport or activity because it really does strengthen your cardiovascular system. So I'm all for that. And I'm going to suspect that most of your followers and listeners and the people at the races, the events, I think you have one coming up October 19th, is it?
Yeah, very good, John.
Yeah. October 19th, you got it's a Halloween thing, right?
Yes, we do it at night.
Yeah. So I'm going to imagine that most of the individuals that are at that, they're enthusiasts. And so, and it's a 5 and a 10K. I don't think that's the half marathon. The half marathon's coming up
No.
in November, and that's in Gainesville, Florida, right? The
Yeah,
one in November.
we don't put the half because I don't want them to get lost at 10 o'clock in the
Yes.
dark. I'm just joking, but the 5:10 they can get back within an hour and so forth. And we light up the path with LED, not LED, but the glow sticks. I mean, it looks like a freaking airport runway at nighttime. I mean, they really like it and everything. But I wanted to go back to one thing that you said, and that was strength. And I'm looking at a lot of videos, and I'm 72, and I had gastric bypass. I'm also on testosterone because um, I have a benign tumor on my pituitary gland, and I found out before I found out about that. I mean, my testosterone was nowhere. Now I do it. I inject myself like once a week and so forth. But I'm doing the weightlifting and the squats and so forth for several reasons. One, I can't go out and cycle. You know, my wife came back from
Hmm.
heart surgery, and I got to be with her here. We're just getting her back in the walking and other the home health care is coming in. So I'm thinking, okay, I can't ride, so I'm going to do strength training and squats and so forth, and hopefully agree that and get it really going because there's a lot of trainers out there that say, after 40, even after 60, muscle is everything. So, and I agree with that. I mean, I'm like, I feel real strong in my legs, and curls and all kinds of things that I do. It even helps me where I got to pick my wife up and so forth because
Hmm.
she's not totally mobile yet. So I believe in the strength training. By the way, you look like you're in great shape. So um, that's what I'm going to do until I can get back and cycle is really push it, especially with the squats. And a lot of pro cyclists do the squats, and
Hmm.
I don't have uh, I only have the handbell to lift with, but the it's working well for me, and hopefully when I get back into cycling, I'll have that strength to pedal up the hills and so forth. So yes, I agree with what you're saying. Now, what about the kettlebell? I mean, I did that on CrossFit during before the pandemic, and then everybody went out of not everybody, but this particular place in Hayesville went out of business. But we did the kettlebell. We bring it up and so forth. Now, what do you find? How does that help you? I mean, you know,
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
I have an idea, but go ahead.
Well, kettlebell training is what I like most about it is that it really focuses on just about 6 basic movements. All right. And we can categorize them into 2 different areas: grinding type of movements and ballistic kind of movements. So, your grinding kind of movements are squats. So, kettlebell squats. Another type of would be a military press or an overhead press. So those are kind of grinding. They take a little bit of slow. They take a little bit of. They're not supposed to be done super slow, but they do take a little bit of time, right? There's a
Hmm.
path. It's usually a linear path overhead, squatting, whatever. And then there's a Turkish get up. Now the Turkish get up or get up is something I would recommend for anyone. And the reason for is because it has a lot of carryover and
Uh,
application to almost anything. So, for example, a get up, you start laying on the floor, and you can learn this very simply without any weight or load, as we call it. You could learn this very simply without load or weight. And you start off on the floor and eventually laying on your back, eyes up towards the ceiling, and you wind up going all the way to a standing position and then back down. And the reason why I like that is because there's the concept of time under tension. So this isn't as slow as a press or a squat, which takes about a 3 count. You go down for 2, you come up, down 1, 2,
Uh
up, right?
huh. Excuse me.
A get up could take upwards of 20 to 40 seconds just to do 1 rep. Okay. And the thing I like about it most is not only the time attention, but there's hip mobility and shoulder mobility that's involved. So that is the thing that is great. Now, when we fast forward, whether you're in your 40s, your 50s, your 60s, or 70s,
Or 70s.
right, at some point, what we all want to be is comfortable getting off the floor. Right? So this
Right.
pattern, if you learn this pattern, you now have something that can stay with you that might be life-saving potentially as we age.
Mm.
So that's one of the reasons, another reason why I like it. So that's the grinds. And then on the ballistic or the explosive type of movements with kettlebells, you have a swing,
Right.
you have a snatch, and you have a clean. And those
Right.
three things, those are more for hip hinging, and they also are good. It's almost like the cardio part of a workout, if you will, right? There's ways to do that. And that's the reason why I like it, because our body does, like if you think about a bench or even a squat for that matter, but let's just stick with a bench. That's a very, like what they call the sagittal plane. It's a very like singular motion. With a
Mhm.
kettlebell, your body moves in 3 different ways. It moves side to side, forward and back, and down and up. I'm sorry, and twisting, excuse me, and twisting. So those 3 different planes work when you're working with kettlebells, you naturally do those kinds of movements that are natural body movements. And that's why I like them. And I would just say to anyone that listens to this, even if you're an avid runner and you're running 3 to 5 times a week, I would make time once a week for some element of strength training, because that, as you had mentioned, I mean, that really, what we're finding in the studies now is that is going to be the key to longevity. Now, when we talk about longevity, to use Dr. Peter Attier's words, it's not just about lifespan, how long you live, it's about health span. How well do you live while you're alive? And so none of us want to wind up, unfortunately, we're all going to get there eventually. There's no masquerading that, but we want to be as active as long as possible until the very last day, because that plays well, not only because life is more enjoyable, but we're also more with it upstairs mentally, emotionally. I mean, our bodies are made to move, and movement is the medicine. Whatever the movement you want doesn't matter. I'm going to, even though I love kettlebells, that is my primary focus. I will sit there and tell you and totally argue for doing walking if that was your thing, or running, or whatever it is.
Well, I like to walk, okay? And it's pretty up here walking. I'm in North Georgia. And, but the weird part is we have some drivers on the road that kind of drive like maniacs. I did get hit on my road bicycling by an older guy, hit me in the back. That was, that was interesting. I didn't get hurt. And knock on wood, I've done some crazy things in my younger days. So I've never broken a bone. So, uh, it's I've been lucky, but
Mhm.
I like the walking. I put a couple things on TikTok about we have some hills where it's kind of like interval training where I walk up the hill, back down, walk up the hill. And I like that one because it's not on the main road. So I like to walk, but the strength training is really coming in handy for me, biceps, triceps, and I'm going to continue to do it. The weird thing is not to go back to my wife and what she's going through, but let me tell you, taking care of her and bending down and this and that. I said to her, "Yeah, this is like I'm doing strength training, adjusting this, pushing you here. I mean, I'm using muscles I've never used before,
Mhm.
with her on her wheelchair and picking her up and this. And I'm like, I said, so I can see strength training has a lot of benefits when you get older and so forth, and I can feel that my balance is a lot better with this, lunges and the squats and so forth. So I totally agree with you. Now I got another question. Do you film like you were going through the kettlebell? Do you film what you're doing? I mean, not just talking, but will you film it in the actual activity of doing kettlebells or anything else? Do you make videos of it?
I sometimes do. I know for like our clients, what I'll do is I have tutorials. I'll send them tutorials. But as far as like on social media and stuff, I really haven't done lots of video tutorials. I almost feel in some cases, and that just might be me, it's like I do the same routine all the time. It's got to be boring to watch. But the truth of the matter is that I also say the same thing. Like I don't really change the message. The message is the
Right,
same. And I just try
right.
to figure out different ways of saying the same thing as far as the message goes. So the answer is I have done some videos, but nothing that's been more on the tutorial basis. I've done a few of them, but not something that I do regularly, if that's what you are asking.
Well, I see a lot of women, on Instagram. One's called Run with Allie, and I never got much out of doing a live broadcast on Instagram. I mean, and I watched her, 10, 20, not even that show up for the live. But what I like with StreamYard, and there's other ones, Restream, is I can, and you could do this too, take a cut of somebody actually doing the kettlebell, the procedure for it. And as we're talking, we're saying, well, here we go. Take a look at this, and then I can post it up there. Everybody can see it. And then I'm back to you, or you're back to yourself if you're doing it yourself. And sometimes, I mean, there's a lot of training videos. And I guess what you said, it can be a little, not boring, but I think it's better to take somebody that a training video and take a piece of it and then comment on it. Say,
Hmm.
see how he's doing. He has the right method. He's the kettlebell. His arms are straight. He's doing this, doing that, and that way you can comment on it. And that's what I like to do with this. So I can go. Um, I'll show you one. This is like a little ad that I got from Bob's Pickle Pops, and I use that. So let me show you what I'm talking about.
Hey guys, here's a quick review of Pickle Potion. Now, previously I used to suffer from muscle cramps and spasms, but while consuming this and drinking this while I play basketball and work out, it has helped me tremendously.
Do you see what I'm saying? Like I can plop all kinds of stuff up there and
Hmm.
then stop it and then you can comment it. To me, um, I mean, I could demonstrate, weightlifting, but I don't know. I'm 72. Let's face it, most of the people that gain a lot of likes and everything are some woman that's 25 doing yoga. you know, it's like, how the hell did she get 1 million views? Oh, guess what? It's like one of those things. So I'd
Yeah,
rather
they stick their butt out. I mean, yeah, come on. Yeah.
yeah, I'd rather comment on somebody that's doing it younger and so forth in the range. Like I said, 40 to 54 are women and men that run in my races, and they're the ones who need information, like electrolytes. I'm going to digress a little bit. And I would say, it's not just the water, honey, it's the electrolytes. I said, the water that you have, especially distilled water, they don't have any electrolytes in it. Distilled water has no, metals in it or anything, but you have to have, magnesium, potassium, sodium. Those are the electrolytes. Those that get your nerves to the muscle and so forth, get you going. The water's great. The water's great. But if you're running every weekend, water's not going to do it for you. And I tell them a week before, start drinking. You can drink electrolytes, on a daily basis in your favorite goo or Gatorade or whatever it is, Trailwind, that kind of stuff. So the more I have like you, talking about it, the better it sounds in a way that there's other people who agree with the fact that you should do this, this, and this. Does that make sense? I guess.
100%. So, and I agree with you. So the it's a pretty there's many ways to get your electrolytes. So there's plenty. If you eat whole nutrient dense foods, you're going to get a lot of the stuff that you need. But I would, as a runner, what I would do is I mean, if you don't have anything in closet, everybody has iodized salt. You could basically take a very generous pinch of salt and put that in your water,
Right.
shake it up, and you're good. You know, you can then buy there. There's a great company out there. It's not the only company. LMNT. That
I've
is,
heard. Yes, I've
yep,
seen that. Yep.
the little package. You put them in.
Yes.
You absolutely, if you're a runner and you're running 3 to 4 times a week, or if you're just doing it on the weekends, uh, I would certainly make sure that 100% I have maximized my electrolytes, or at least get them up to some satisfactory levels. And that could just, like, you there's so many options these days. Even if you are not, let's say, uh, this is a little politically incorrect, but I was on a webinar just last night, and one of the guys said he's a tech tord. It's like he
Uh,
doesn't, he doesn't know how to work technology. So if you're one of the people that you're all thumbs with technology, they're pretty easy to operate. You can get a calorie counting app like MyFitnessPal or Chronometer.
right.
There's a bunch of them out there, and you could basically log in your food, and it'll tell you how much of your electrolytes you're actually getting. So you could do that. But again, like, you could just default if you eat a lot of whole foods, nutrient dense foods. I'm not talking about processed. The less things that come in a box, the better. There's a very good chance you're getting a lot of the good stuff that you need.
Right.
And then at the very least, you take some salt, a teaspoon or so, throw it in the water, depending on the volume of the water and how much you could throw it in there, and you sip that. You would be more than okay. Or if you really want to go all in, go buy something that had a very simple packet of something like LMNT, put it in your water or your drink, and you're good to go. It's really that simple. And anyone that's running, I would, if I was coaching you and you told me you were doing these races, I would be pestering you daily to make sure you're taking your supplementation
Right.
for your electrolytes, because it's that important, especially when you're doing that kind of work or that activity.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So I'm all for that.
Well, I had a marathon in Hawthorne Trail. You were talking about the Halloween one. It's Hawthorne Trail's 15 miles long. Down at the east end, somebody certified it, the half marathon, and I have races down there. Now, I had one guy who did the marathon, and he kind of didn't drop, but he was like, on the ground, and they said he needs some sugar. And I'm like, I'm diabetic. I said, he doesn't need sugar. He didn't say he was, I said, he needs electrolytes. I said, the sugar is not, they don't understand that sugar, and I taught chemistry, it takes a while for it to break down. It's not really good as an electrolyte. And there's a possibility, if I had asked him, that maybe he needed electrolytes because he got dizzy. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, if you don't check his, blood sugar, you can't say he needs sugar. All right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this guy was sweating like a bench. I mean, it was just rolling. And I tell people, I said, when it's rolling down your face, stick your tongue out like this. Oops, I think I lost you there.
Yeah. Hold on. Sorry about that. Okay.
All right, there you are. Stick your tongue out. See how salty it is. And if it's not, then that tells you how much salt is coming out of your body and how much, not scientifically, how much you need to do. And the sweat was just pouring out. I didn't want to, I look at them as customers besides runners, and I didn't want to say anything, but, so they got sugar, and I'm like, nah, he needs water and electrolytes in it. It's kind of like, I look at electrolytes as, like a car. You got a full tank of gas, but your electrical system isn't working, so the gas isn't going to do you any good. You know, like people say, we did a lot of carbs and all that stuff, but your metabolism and your electrical system, if you don't have the electrolytes, it's not going anyplace. So that's, and you're going to have high spikes in blood sugar. But that's what I've noticed. I think I told you before, not that example, but that's what I go through with people think water this, and they're not really educated, and they should be if they're running a marathon or half or running it all in a event every weekend. I mean, I'd be taking electrolytes 3-4 days before I start running, as to build up. It's like you don't go out and have a battery that we used to. You probably remember taking the cap off and put the water in the battery. The
Yeah.
youngins, they don't. But you don't want a battery that's shy on fluids. It's not going to help you out. So that's
Yeah.
how I associate the electrolytes with. But anyway, John, this is really good. I like this. What I want to do is I'm going to end this, and then we're going to talk. If you stay on board, and we'll talk about a few things, and we'll go to that. So, John Arena, a paisano I'm from Philly. You're in New Jersey, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I don't ask for much, John, but you can send me the pizza. I missed the pizza and the cheesesteak. Okay. I took my kids out when I took my kids out there, and I got the pizza. We went to Wildwood. When I was a kid, we took them to Wildwood. They said, we like the Ohio pizza. I said, you're kidding me. I brought you all the way out here for good Italian pizza, and you're going to tell me you like Ohio? They used to cut it in little triangles. I said, forget it. But yeah, there's a lot of things that I missed. But let me end this and then stay put, and then we'll talk a little bit. All right?
All right.
Hold on.